Hello. So I am going to model for you how to write an outline. And what I've done is made a copy of this. And so I'm going to show you how you take away stuff so that it becomes a final draft. So when you don't need it anymore, when you don't need the directions anymore, you take them away so that it becomes a final draft. Okay. And I'm just going to do this as we go. I haven't written this ahead of time. We'll call this guy Joe Schmo. Okay. And I'm going to take away my directions. I'm going to do original outline one, but I'm going to take away outline two. So I'm going to go down here and I'm just going to delete outline two. Now I've made a copy of this, so it's not going to be. Did I take a? Okay. Excuse me. I think for most of us, outline one is going to work fine. Excuse me. All right, so let's do the topic of we should respect the elderly. So I'm going to put my thesis right here. Like I said, I'm taking away all my directions as I go. So once I've read them, I don't need them anymore. Um, uh, okay. Okay, let's see how this reads for the thesis. It ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because we are giving back what they once gave us, because it is the right thing to do, and because it has a long lasting positive impact on our own lives. Okay, and I'm using the outline format one. Um, and all I need right here is to take this thesis and plug it in right here, take away the directions, plug it in right there. So I'll take away all the labels once I get done. Okay, so we're going to start with body A, and we're going to take that thesis that's in C and we're going to put it right here again in A, but we only need the first thing. So we're going to take away the comma before because. I think we just don't even need that. That'll be better for us because we are giving back what they once gave us, period. Okay, and we can take away this note. Okay, let's go to body B. We're going to plop the thesis there again, but now, oops, we need it to be A. Now we're going to keep the second thing, so because it's the right thing to do. So and get rid of that. So what we're doing is we're taking, in body A, we're taking the first division of proof from the thesis. In body B, we're taking the second division of proof from the thesis. In body C, we're taking the third division of proof from the thesis. Another word for division of proof is reason. So when you do a divided thesis or a three-part thesis, it helps you map out your body paragraphs. Okay, so here we go. We're going to finish with because it has a long-lasting positive impact on our own lives. Okay, and then we restate the thesis here without the divisions of proof. So you put the thesis in every paragraph in some way. Okay, so now we have the thesis for 1C, 2A, 2B, 3A, 4A, and 5B. Now we're going to go back up and we're going to look at claim, warrant, and impact. And if you're in the debate class, you'll be familiar with these words again. So the claim is a declarative statement that establishes the point that you set out to justify in your speech. This will be the same idea as what is in your thesis using other wording. I think let's see. I think I'm going to take that away from this outline. Somebody had deleted my outline, and so I had to quickly put it back together. So a declarative statement that establishes the point you're trying to set out to justify in the speech. So it ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because they are giving back what they once gave us. Now we can just do, for the claim, we can just make another declarative statement. The declarative statement is you declare. It's just it's a similar vibe to the A. So we can say whether it be our parents or grandparents or another loved one, when we were children, we had adults who who gave of themselves, who sacrificed so that we could have all of what we needed and some of what we wanted. Okay, why is the argument valid? Okay, so we're saying that our argument is that we're giving back what they once gave us. And so this warrant would be a good place for an example. So like I'm going to put here, find a secondary source or illusion example, okay? And I think all of you could do that for your C. Why does the argument matter? Who's affected by the argument, okay? So when our aging parents and grandparents can no longer drive or get around as easily, or maybe they fall ill, they should know this is the time to surround them with a community of care, love, and respect. Um, Very little is more impactful than giving another person your time and attention. Okay, and you will also want here in the D, once you find your secondary source, um, you'll want to talk about it. So I'm going to use that meme that I talked about yesterday. Let me see if I can find it here. Nope. Let me look. So I'm going to the brainstorming sources. Remember, I showed you the meme that was on my Facebook page, and here it is. So I'm going to use that for my secondary source here. Okay. So I'm going to say for my warrant, I'm going to say um, there is a meme which depicts an old Indian woman. Her skin is wrinkled with deep creases, which appear to be which are like as deep as her love for her family. She has sacrificed. Let me see if I use that word up here. I'm going to take that away. Um, I want to keep this Times New Roman and size 12. Okay. Now you'll notice I'm putting a little bit more than one sentence per letter, and that's okay. Um, okay, let me read this paragraph and see how it goes. So we've got um, in this first so the thesis statement in the introduction says it ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because we are giving back to one what they want, giving back what they once gave us because it is the right thing to do and because it has a long last it has a long lasting positive impact on our own lives. Okay, and then this first body paragraph says, it ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because we are giving back what they once gave us. Whether it be our parents or grandparents or another loved one, when we were children, we had adults who gave them of themselves so that we could have all of what we needed and some of what we wanted. There is a meme which depicts an old Indian woman. Her skin is wrinkled with deep creases, which are as deep as her love for her family. She has sacrificed so that her children and grandchildren can have more than what she had when she was growing up. The picture shows her young granddaughter brushing her hair. It reads, to care for those who once cared for us is one of the highest honors. When someone is taking care of us, when we had no one else, it feels special and important to do the same for them. When our aging parents and grandparents can no longer drive or get around as easily, or maybe they fall ill, this is the time to surround them with a community of care, love, and respect. Very little is more impactful than giving another person your time and attention. Very good paragraph. Okay, now we're going on to the second thing in our divided thesis. So this one will say, it ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because it's the right thing to do. And then we're going to give a claim about how it's the right thing to do. Um, how selfish and self absorbed it would be to turn a blind eye, knowing that someone who we love is in need. It is easy to feel like we just don't, cannot make the time to slow down and make sure that another person um, is taken care of. We live here. I'm going to put in the warrant, I'm going to put some kind of example about being busy. Okay, so, um, and I'm going to, but I'll just type it right here. But we need a source. So I'll put secondary source needed. Okay. We, in 2020, in our society, we rush from work to practice to meetings and here, there, and everywhere. Okay, let's look at this paragraph. It ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because it is the right thing to do. How selfish and self absorbed it would be to turn a blind eye, knowing that someone who we love is in need. It's easy to feel like we just cannot make time to slow down and make sure that another person is taken care of. And I might add another secondary source in here. I probably will, like an example, because we need a secondary source in every paragraph. In our society, we rush from work to practice to meetings, here, there, and everywhere. Stopping to sit at an 80-year-old's bedside doesn't fit onto our to-do list, but it has to. When we examine our own hearts, what kind of person can we claim to be if we make time for yoga and coffee, practice and shopping, but we don't take time for our mothers and grandmothers? We cannot say that we are a good person if we ignore those who are the most vulnerable. And then this last body paragraph, it ought to be our pleasure uh, to care for and respect the elderly because it has long lasting positive impacts on our own life. Um, and then we're going to talk about what they have to offer us, okay? So, um, someone, let's say a person who has lived through, what's going on with my numbering here? Okay, let's look at this one. It ought to be our pleasure to care for and respect the elderly because it has a long lasting positive impact on our own lives. A person who has lived through tough times and has overcome someone who has lived a long time has grown in wisdom and experience. Oh, I can go to school and read all sorts of books. I can watch videos and the news, but I cannot learn half of what I can learn by just listening to the sagacious wisdom of a senior citizen. Sagacious means wise. Um, the I should soak up the stories. I should treasure them. I like I'm being given a large sums of money. I should write down the stories and pass them on to my children. A heritage, legacy is grown when we give the stories of the past as a gift to the future generations. All right, and then once you get your body paragraphs done, then you can go back and come up with a really good um, attention getter. The link is just a sentence that gets you from the lead to the thesis. Don't overthink it. It's just a sentence that bridges the lead to the thesis. I'm going to stop with body paragraphs now. If I come up with some amazing lead, I will um, add that in later. But that is a good lesson for today on body paragraphs. I hope that helps.